Let's move over to the story now. Market dynamics and a failure to plan ahead or in accordance with a demand forecast form part of some of the reasons struggling power utility finds itself paying more for diesel. The national oil company of South Africa, Petro SA, says they are not at all overcharging Eskom. The Petro SA Acting CEO, Sandisiwe Ncemane, joins me now to delve into this. Thank you so much for your time. I think there's a lot of panic, and perhaps you can dispel the narrative that Eskom is being overcharged for diesel, but there is panic and concern that Petro SA is overcharging Eskom. Is this true? And if it's not true, why is it not true?
Afternoon, Heidi, and thank you for having me on the show. I think, Heidi, the first thing and important is to highlight that this is a national challenge and it requires that all entities collaborate towards the solution. And I want to assure the public that Petro SA is continuing to work closely with Eskom in finding a solution, not just in the short term through diesel, but also looking into the medium and long term when we look at what gas means for the country and gas to power. But to come back to your question in particular, I think the macro and micro economic dynamics are truly a challenge that we are needing to grapple with. And at times, what we're going to find is that the matter around pricing and the need for security of supply will match, and we will have periods of time with challenging. And we've highlighted, I think, over the last few days that planning and forecasting is quite essential. We also appreciate that at times we cannot forecast and know what the demand of the challenges may be. And that does put us into a vulnerable position because the volatility of the markets will be at play. That said, it remains a challenge as South Africans and collaboratively, both in terms of state entities as well as private sector. We will need to find solutions.
So let's just get clarity. You are not overcharging Eskom.
In that regard, no, we are not. And I think that is also a matter that we need to appreciate has got to do with balancing matters around security of supply. So you would understand that we had to make a decision to secure cargo in the month of November, which unfortunately was not then taken in the month of December and was only picked up in January. And the necessary diseconomics required that we then engage with Eskom, and we do that. And to make certain decisions, we need to have an engagement. And so the discussions and decisions we are making are on the back of continued collaboration between ourselves and Eskom as a key customer.
So just for perspective, Sandisiwe, and perhaps you can just provide some clarity for us. Eskom has major challenges, and you have power stations that are poor performing. There are constant breakdowns. There are even acts of sabotage. And sometimes they themselves cannot plan for this and do not know when this is going to happen. So their demand for diesel might be very sudden and unexpected. This is a challenge for Petro SA, is it not? Because, you'll get Eskom to say, well, we need this amount of diesel for the next 3 months, but then they'll come back to you and say, actually, we need double that or triple that. That in itself poses a challenge for you, and that could affect the pricing, does it not?
That's correct, Heidi. There are challenges, and I've mentioned that those challenges are informed by multiple factors at a macro level and at a micro level. What is important is that those are dynamics that we're also having to work in terms of what our short-term solutions are. And as I mentioned, I think for me, what is important to highlight is that the solution and the sustainable solution is through the collaboration of entities across the span. And I think between Petro SA and Eskom, we continue to work towards that. What I want to highlight even further is that as a country, as we plan for sustainable solutions, we need to look at this energy economy in a holistic manner. And I'm highlighting that for Petro SA, our strategy is anchored on gas going into the medium term and long term. When I talk about gas, I'm talking about gas in the immediate to medium term being on the back of the tail gas that we're currently producing through our facilities in Mossel Bay, which can be fed into a power generating solution and evacuated into the grid. That's a solution that in itself starts to also diversify our energy mix, further strengthening the security of supply of the country. And what is also quite economical and sustainable about that is that as we unlock value through indigenous gas, we are able to see the gas economy expanding into the space of power generating, refinery, as well as activating other sectors in the economy. So for me, I think it's important that as we look at a solution in the country, yes, diesel presents a solution. Yes, there are challenges around diesel and the pricing of diesel on the back of all sorts of factors linked to what we are seeing from a geopolitical level, at a micro level, at a macro level. But we do need to continue to plan for solutions collaboratively, take in the learnings and lessons that we've acquired as a country and a sector over the last few years, but really leverage the partnership and collaborative value that we are able to garner in the country.
Okay, I don't have much time and I just need to get a few more questions. And I want to ask you whether or not you find the demand for diesel from Eskom a challenge. Are you struggling to keep up with the demand of diesel that Eskom is trying to get from you?
What I think is important, as I'm saying, is that the planning and forecasting really strengthens our footing as a country. And if we're able to do that in a more aligned manner, it does afford us an opportunity to acquire our fuel in a more economical way. So that is
basically, sorry. So basically, I need you to be
to ensure that we're able to optimize how we are sourcing product, so that in the short term it alleviates the pressure on the country, but addresses the issue we currently are seeing from an electricity perspective. But more holistically, is that the solution is additional to diesel. It's also in solutions coming from what gas to power affords the country as we go forward. And I think that's the dialogue that we really need to afford, colleagues and team, is that as a country, the challenge we're actually facing is more about getting sustainable solutions that allow us to build capacity going into the future. And I really appeal that we start to talk to that particular narrative and really bring the forces together to ensure that we are delivering to that particular matter and the security of supply for the country.
Okay, I'm going to try and ask you in a different way so I can try and get a different answer from you, because you're being very polite. So basically, Eskom's lack of planning and unreliability of electricity supply and the need for diesel is causing an issue for Petro SA to procure the diesel at an affordable price, and the last-minute planning and request of diesel from Eskom is a problem.
Yeah, I think, Heidi, I must say that I think it's unfortunate that the media platform is going to try and get us to go into the details of a commercial relationship between two entities, and in particular, those that are state entities. What is important is I'm highlighting that there's a continued relationship and a continued collaboration between these two entities. And I'm just appealing for South Africa to work together with us to ensure that we are solving the challenge and addressing what the immediate pressures are, while we are planning for the medium term as well as the long term, to ensure a sustainable solution to the energy crisis.
So I just want to make something clear. The media is not trying to get into any sort of narrative or commercial terms between yourself and Eskom. What we're trying to understand is what's actually going on, because Eskom is in constant communication about its need for diesel and not having a budget for diesel and needing to go to National Treasury to get more money to procure diesel because of the ongoing blackouts and breakdowns that we have been seeing. So if I could appeal to you as the acting CEO to just take South Africans into confidence and help us understand the challenges, because you are supplying the diesel to Eskom, and if there are challenges from Eskom's side, it's going to create challenges from you. So Eskom can't plan. We know that. South Africans sit in darkness for most of the time. And that is clearly posing a challenge for you to procure that diesel at an affordable and a decent price, because it's not happening now because of last-minute planning. So I'm trying to get that answer from you. Is that correct? Do we understand that as South Africans?
And I'm stating that the challenges are beyond an Eskom, but yes, it's currently challenging to be able to procure optimally without a forecast going into a 3-month window.
Okay, so at this stage you are unable...
With the information we have, well, with the information we have as a country, we do the best we can as Petro SA to procure the fuel and to be able to make it available for Eskom. I think what the challenge is, colleagues, again, is that we currently are working with information we have, which is not necessarily affording us to optimize the kind of agreements we are going into with our suppliers. And I think with stronger planning and forecasting, it really affords us a better footing, not just as Petro SA, but as a country.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you so much. That's exactly what I needed you to answer. Just very lastly, we're all looking at this. We're seeing our power stations breaking down, some going offline, and there's going to be a further need for diesel. There's also a worry that we we're going to be paying more for diesel because of global factors. I'm sure this is a challenge for you as Petro SA as well, and that obviously affects the price that Eskom pays.
Heidi, I think this is also why we are highlighting that we are continuing to collaborate with Eskom, but also in finding solutions that are beyond diesel. So yes, diesel is important as we plan for solutions in the immediate term, but I'm highlighting the value that we are seeing from gas and gas to power solutions as we build an energy economy of the country that is diverse and also allowing for us to address economic aspirations of the country.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. And we wish you all the best. I think we're all in this together. And as you heard the acting CEO of Petro SA, Sandisiwe Ncemane, saying that we all need to work together. I think South Africans are tired of hearing that, but hopefully there will be some kind of solution.